Hello and welcome to the Test Community Network. I hope you're all safe and well. A short one from me today because I've got a webinar later on, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a second. But as ever, anything you see and hear and like on here, then you can go to the Community.Network website. You can subscribe to for free and you'll receive an amazing email that comes in your inbox every day. Once a week, not every day, that would be annoying. Once a week, you get an amazing email that comes in that has all the kind of content, marketplace events, all sorts of listings which are being put onto the Test Community website over the course of the week that you can access and divulge and link and find more information about. As I said, later on today, I've got my cheating AI-based webinar coming up. So I've been creating tools which enable people to effectively cheat in examinations. And I've done this through a low-code, no-code route. Very effective tools, and I'm going to be kind of taking people through that journey. Now, what I'm doing is making it only available to awarding organizations or regulators, something similar in that space. The reason being, I want them to have a safe space to have that conversation without being kind of bombarded with messages about, oh, we're super secure, don't need to worry, blah, blah, blah. I do think you need to start really planning for these, basically the abundant access to cheating apps, and it's very close on the horizon, if not here already. So I'm going to take you through that, various different options that are out there, but it's going to be quite an enlightening journey for you. Other notices, so we've got the EATP, so it's the European version of the ATP conference. 2025, it's going to be in Dublin in September. Submissions are due in 28th of April, so that's Monday. So please do make sure you get your submissions in to speak at that amazing conference. Other events that got coming up, so Cambridge Assessment Network, they've got their conference that is a hybrid, so you can watch this remotely if you would like to. That's the 29th and 30th next week. On the 30th is the AO Forum event in London, which I'll be at as well. That's an in-person one only, I'm afraid, but well worth last-minute tickets if you want to get signed up for that. We also have the CNG virtual event, maintaining accreditation firewalls whilst ensuring seamless delivery for learners. That's a virtual event, so if you're interested in the certification network group, then it's worth checking that out. Westminster Education Forum, they've got their event, Next Steps for AI in Education in England. So if you're interested in mainly kind of K-12 conversations, see what Westminster are up to and thinking or not thinking about the use of AI, then it's worth attending that session. We've got the assessment, Education Assessment Research Group, or I'm not quite sure if it's EAG or ERG. This is Dr. Mary Richardson. They've got an event coming up, a webinar, Social Economic Status, Gender and Achievement by Dr. Carol Brown. So worth checking out. They're free to attend. Then we've got Grading for Impact. This is not one that I know too much about, but aligning clarity and feedback to develop great learners. That's a EdWeb virtual webinar that's coming up. EdCores webinar. They've got findings from the 2025 Students and Technology Report. So if you're interested in kind of K-12 and the higher education, then it's worth having a look at that. The Assessment Association, I've got a webinar, the Future Assessment, 5 Principles, 5 Targets of 2025. So this was a report that came out from JISC back in 2020, just before the pandemic. And they kind of set out these kind of 5 targets for 2025. And Matt and the people that were on the original podcast episode, which we're exploring it for the Assessment Association, are going to go back and revisit that content to see how much has changed. So worth having a look at that. Ecom Learning Solutions, they've got webinars proving competence, rethinking skills assessment for today's workforce. So if you're interested in that, then please do check that out. It's Ecom, kind of based in Scotland. And then British Council International Schools, COBIS, 43rd COBIS Annual Conference. I believe that is a virtual event. And then finally, we have the AALHE, that's our Higher Education Assessment Learning Exchange, is taking place on the 14th of May. I've got 2 really, really fascinating interviews coming up over the next couple of weeks. So next week, I'm going to be sitting down with Jim Holm to talk about Simternships. So if you've not heard of the term before, it's a bit of a new one, but the idea of simulated internships, which is almost like maybe a mini apprenticeship. So here's me in conversation with Jim.
So Tim, I'm a big believer and have been for quite a while now in the testing industry that having individuals prove what they can do instead of what they know is going to become increasingly important in the world of AI. And so for you to be able to go in and know facts or to have a certain set of experiences might become less valuable, because AI is becoming very rapidly as smart as most of us on most general intelligence or general information type of questions. But being able to know how to apply that information in ways in which you can meet business objectives will be really important. So I see a world in which Simternships not only are learning tools, but also could become measurement tools, where you could go through and say, how successful is an individual at synthesizing information, at communicating information, and about making decisions that are important for us to move forward with our business objectives, and have it be a very sophisticated type of measurement tool in the future. And so I think that all of us in the industry need to be thinking about how we move past the world of multiple choice questions and into the world of how do you measure people performance in a more nuanced way in order for us to be able to keep ahead of the easy use of AI for answers that we've traditionally used in the past to measure performance.
So it's worth checking that out. So that's on the 1st of May. And then following that, the week after, I've got a conversation with Bradley Emi from Pangram, which is a AI detection tool. Now, there was a recent research report that came out that was brought to my attention by Cheat Sheet. If you don't follow the Cheat Sheet newsletter, then I do strongly recommend you do that. And they kind of pointed out a study that had been done, and Pangram actually came out quite high in their kind of accuracy. And in the conversation I had with Bradley, I'll talk about why they consider themselves one of the most accurate tools out there. I've always been a bit skeptical about the idea that AI detection tools, could work. Really, they are tools in the process, and you should never really solely rely on them and their results. There should be other evidence to indicate malpractice in there. But it's quite an interesting conversation. It's worth checking out. So here's a quick clip from my upcoming interview with Bradley.
Kind of the way that we've been able to do this is this algorithm that we call active learning. Maybe some educational people in the audience might be familiar with active learning as a pedagogical concept, where the student, rather than just like passively absorbing the lecture, they're like actively engaging with the material. We take a similar approach to training our machine. And so the machine, it looks at a bunch of human and AI text and makes a bunch of decisions on it. And then we actually send that agent into the world, into the internet, and have it go look for examples that are human written, that it doesn't really understand very well. So we look for false positives in the wild. And then we go, after we do this data mining procedure, we reincorporate that data back into our training set and retrain the model with those confusing examples. And so the model is basically itself going and surfacing hard examples, and then we bring those hard examples back into the knowledge of the model. And we repeat this process at scale. And we believe this is how we've been able to get the error rate from about 1% down to about 0.01%.
So Bradley, a super experienced kind of MIT student, formerly did some work at Tesla as well. Really, really interesting conversation about the potential for AI detection tools and how they can be used. And you can sign up to their service. There are some free options with their service. If you're a researcher, you can actually request access for free, so you can conduct some research on this particular topic. So I was a really quite kind of positive conversation with Bradley, so it's worth checking that out. That's it from me this week. I'll leave you with information about the webinar that's coming up later on today. If you miss it, then and you do want more details, then please do get in touch and I can arrange something. And take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you, and bye-bye.